I know that it's like a rare opportunity to be there in India. When I visit you, I think that was 5 years ago in Cochin. Is that correct? The pronouncing Cochin. So I'm trying. So thanks again, Billy, for this huge opportunity to share a little bit of my research with you. As you mentioned, I did a hard work with this research, but why? Because I have two Y generation in my house. I mean, in my family. Okay, first of all, let me explain one thing for you. Most of the content of my research refers to the Western world in many senses. Of course, mainly about Brazil and evangelicals and Protestants in Brazil. But it's my understanding that even we have something that are different between us, because our culture is different from your culture, and American culture is different from your culture, from our culture. That's the way the world works. But we know that because of the internet, each time, and the globalization, each time more and more, we have similarities. So that's one good reason to share with you what was my research. But my primary idea to do this research was a conversation with my professor and mentor that was a South Korean theologian, Jung Mo Sung, and he lives in Brazil for like 50 years or more. He speaks fluently and normal Portuguese, Portuguese and Korean. And we had the first conversation about our children, because our children here in Western society, there's one word that it's really a word that that's very strong here now for the youth generation. That is liberty and freedom. And this new generation, they are just declining of our tradition. I mean, if you try to pass on something to them, in many cases, they just say, okay, that was good in your time. Now we are in a digital and network society and era. And now we need to think differently if compared with your time. So it means that here the tradition it's being demolished in many senses, and this is something really terrible. And I'm sure that I can tell you that a good tool to do this, or a good environment to do this, is the internet environment. So social media and this holy package of internet and digital world brings a lot of things, good things and bad things. You don't have necessarily to choose the bad things, but most of the people are unfortunately choosing the bad things. So the first idea was we were identifying that our children, they're not going to the church anymore like we are, we are doing, or our parents or the other older people were going to the church. But probably you read something about it in the United States. A lot of the youth generation is just leaving the church and say, okay, I don't need the church anymore. So we are here in a really, really bad moment, I would say. Europe is a post-Christian society, and if you don't do something, if you don't pray, if you don't have any revival movement, we can face the same in the Americas. I mean, Americas, when I say Americas, I say from the North and Central and South America where I live. So I see that a new generation is changing the way that they see the religion, or mostly the Christianity. In internet, you see here in Brazil, for example, if you do any kind of research about Brazilians in the internet, you're going to see that we are among the most users and most people that normally are involved with internet during the day. I think that we are living, if I don't forget something, but we are spending like 10 hours per day in average using internet. I mean, the Brazilians. The world average is like 7-8 hours. We are living more than most of the people using internet most of the time. So this is something new. I mean, in many cases, you spend more time in internet than sleeping on the bed. I mean, it's something different. It's something also dangerous. We must think about this seriously. So my research was about how we are facing this time with internet and in this network society, as some scholars say. I asked to Billy to send to you some of the terms that I'll be using here, and because I know this is something very specific. Sometimes it's more a sociological comprehension of the religion instead of the devotion comprehension of the religion that normally we have. But this is something really interesting to understand. Internet is changing the way that we live in the Western society, at least. Here in Brazil, we heard like a month ago that we're going to have the 5G internet in next year. I mean, if today you can use internet in everywhere in Brazil, I mean, we're not among the top countries in the world with internet covering, but we have a very strong covering in internet close to my place where I live, like 500 meters. We have a huge internet transmission antenna. So here you have today a 4G internet, but it's coming the 5G internet, which means that everything will going to be easier, faster, and much more open to everybody. There is a program in our government, Brazilian government, that to provide access to everybody, everywhere, every time. I mean, I know that we can have several good things, opportunities like we are having now, but also I know that this is a very dangerous possibility for youth people, mostly for youth people, and mostly for children, mostly for, people that are looking for wrong things. Internet's like a word available for you. So I'm going to try to read with you a little bit of my dissertation. I mean, let me explain one thing. In Brazil, we call thesis for PhD. In the United States, thesis is for master's degree and dissertation is for PhD. So because we follow the French standard, and probably one of the first universities in Brazil that we had started like 100 years ago or less, a little less, and came from a group of professors came from France to Brazil to start the universities here in our country. So I'm going to read a little bit of some points of my dissertation to not go too much further in terms of the timing that we have. So in that time, if you see in the United States of America, they have two main words for the kind of people that are not close to the church anymore, that are leaving the church. You know, I know that in Brazil, you have the ones that just leave the church. I mean, they're not converted people, or they just, we say in Brazil, they are like friends of the church, but not necessarily, they don't have compromise with the church in Brazil. There are many people. In Brazil now, we are like 90% of the population, around 90% of the population consider themselves as Christian. But evangelicals until the 1970s were like 5% of the Christians or the population in Brazil. And now we just turned 31% according with the last research and secular research. So we are just spreading very fast. In 50 years, we just grew up much more than the normal growing of the population. So nobody could expect this in Brazil, a population of 30% or 31%, almost 1/3 of the population now is evangelical. So we have several people that just leave the church. It's common, it happens all the time. Well, the United States, they have two main words that probably you heard about it: churchless and unchurched. So I sent to you information about this a little bit also. But those are the ones that were part of the church, but in some moment they just leave the church for many reasons. Okay, so so what happened with digital religiosity is that many people found a way to keep close to the religion, to keep close to the evangelical Christian church, to keep close to the gospel in many senses, but they just not are with the same compromising with the church that they used to be. So, in my perspective, what happened is that because of the COVID, we have the COVID here in Brazil. We lost more than 600,000 people with the COVID in Brazil. We have a couple of labs producing. One of our main vaccine is a partnership with the Indian lab, AstraZeneca, Oxford, with a Brazilian lab. So we are now in the moment that the deaths by COVID is just going dramatically lower. So it's like 200 people per day, which means we have 200 million people in the country. So it's a reasonable number now. I mean, everyone that dies, of course, is a very valuable life. But considering that we had also in the past 4,000 people dying in only one day, 200 is much more reasonable, or much more, something that we can afford. So because of the COVID, what we saw here in Brazil was that we had many churches just closed the doors. I don't know how you are doing in India, but I know that the United States and the whole Latin America, we just closed the doors of the church. The government forbidden the church to be open, and many people were just like desperate because we don't live only because or for the things that we have and we touch. We live also and mainly probably for the things that we believe. We need to receive every week or every day or every time words of faith. We need to receive good words from the gospel. We need to receive encouragement. We need to receive. We need to be in touch with other people. We need praise. We need sing songs for the Lord. We need to sing songs with brothers. We need to see people. We need to share our lives. So here in Brazil, the churches were closed for at least 6 months, and depending the city, were closed for a year, probably. Depending on the time in the city, were closed for a year. So what happened was that because of this, the internet became, the internet that for a couple of years was the kind of enemy of the church, a kind of the tool that people were using for wrong purposes. That just became something friendly to the church. So now many churches, and most of the church actually, are using internet for broad the content of the service. So here internet became something very available, and much more, the church is much more open to internet. But even this, we call this technically, in terms of religion studies and sociology, we call this religion in the online environment. That is different of online religion. Online religion is that religion that you only practice online. I mean, you don't have a temple, you don't have a physical place, you don't have a local place, you don't have to be in touch and real touching with people in only one global geographical place, but you can maintain, keep, and exercise your religion or Christianity through internet all the time. So this kind of internet that we have now, is the internet of that serves the church, is very, very helpful. And we all are happy because of this, but we must keep prepared to face other problems with this. Because I've been hearing people that just say, I don't have to go to the church anymore. I'm using internet to do everything that I want. So I don't have to be in touch with people much more than I have now, using the virtual touching in terms of, a relationship with people. So here in Brazil, and I see that also in Europe and North America, we see that people are enjoying this time using internet. For example, my Sunday school group, I have a group that studies the Bible every Sunday. We call Sunday school. We have a curriculum, and we have a Sunday school here in Brazil, like in the United States. In the past, we had like 20 people. Now we can have 40, 50, 100 people. I was 2 months ago participating of a congress of science of religion or religion studies. And this congress that normally had 200, 300 people had more than 800 people. Why? Because it's much more accessible, and something is much more, it's cheaper to participate, of course. I had to go to a publishing meeting in the United States in April or May, and that should be in Nashville, Tennessee. And the event was, the total cost of the event would be like $2,000. And I participate of the whole event, including speaking something. In some moments, we just spent $150. So it means that internet can be something very useful, but in terms of the religion, we must be very careful. But why internet is something that the youth generation is it's using very much, and is changing the way that they see the life. Many prophets of the society, many secularists, many unbelievers said in the 60s, 1960s and 1970s that because of the evolution of the society, because of the progress of the society, the Western world at least, they said, people will give up of the religion. Religion means something old. Religion means something manipulative or manipulative. I don't know the correct pronouncing. Billy, help me, please. People don't like to be, people that are participant of a religion for some Western scholars are people that like to be manipulated. So this is not the real thing that we see, but it's something that they were predicting. They were predicting that evangelical or the Christian or religion will just disappear of the society, as much as the society to be transformed in a modern society, because modern in the Western society means something more dependent of reason, less emotion, less religion, most humankind, and humankind knowledge. I mean, you just replace the knowledge and the life of the ones that are religious, or the whole system of the religion. You replace this for a proposal from the humankind, a modern humankind, evolved humankind, that just say, okay, we don't need religion, we don't need gods, we don't need Jesus, we don't need any other religion. We only need ourselves, because the humankind can move forward and further for a better world, because religions means war and manipulation. And this is because of the Middle Age Christianity in Europe, and you know this the story about this. But because of this, they just predict, okay, we will not have any religion in the future, because people will just give up of the religion. And the not well-educated people, the simple people, the poor people, unfortunately, they're gonna keep the religion as something that can help them to face the difficult of their lives. But this simply didn't happen. And in the opposite to this, the religion is just still keeping strong in the Western society. But something different happened. Instead of religion to be something collective, something as a group, something that we could pay attention to what the other thing, or something that could come from one older traditional system, like for example, the Baptist Church, the Presbyterian Church, the Catholic Church, the Methodist Church, and the whole system, the package that a religion, a Christian religion offers. Now, every one of us, or at least mostly the new generation, and mainly the new generation of the Western society, they're just going by what we call religion à la carte. It's an expression, a French expression, if you don't know, I hope you know, but it's an expression that you can say, okay, I'll choose this, this, and this for my own religion. I don't accept to receive more anything from other as imposition. I don't accept anything from other as something that I just have to repeat for years, as like my father did, and now we just don't want to do and keep anymore. Billy, I think that someone just raised the hand. Do we have to end something now or just later? You're muted.
Have it on a later, not right now. After.
No. Okay. Let's skip. So instead, the religion just to be cut by the new society, the modern society in the Western, what happened was the religion became more and more something personal, something that was built by yourself, because of the man was becoming more and more independent of God. And the man was, when he was trying to become independent of God, of the gods, of the religion system, they should become more dependent or part of the society, another group. But what's happening lately is that even the idea of a human being to be part of a society, depending on the group, the human being is each time more and more individualist. So because of this is affecting the religion also. And internet is a perfect environment for this. because when you, I grew up as a Baptist church member, and I became Presbyterian 25 years ago. I'm 55. And then as a Baptist, our contact with the other church was a contact with other Baptist church, not, you know, all other religions or Christian church. We had that time in Brazil, the idea that the groups should to be closer, one to each other. And what one thing that we could have sometime was the possibility to have contact with other denominations. We call denominations the other groups of the Christian religions in Brazil, like Presbyterian, Methodists, and Congregationalists and Pentecostals and other groups in Brazil. So the maximum thing that you had was the contact with other group closer to you. And because of this, even thinking in terms of theological difference, you had, besides the theological difference, you had not very much different cultural difference. But now, because of internet, you can be in touch with many other cultures, many other thoughts, many other ways to face their life, to think about Christianity. So the internet is the perfect environment for what they call a mix, or I don't know if it exists, this expression in English, as in French, is bricolage, which is like a mosaic of things that you can create. You can create a mosaic of things in terms of religion to do whatever you want as your personal religion. That's gonna be only what your feelings says to be done, and something that's very subjective, because it depends of your evaluation, your decision about what is your religion and your practice in terms of religion. Probably you know that another name that they give to the Y generation. Have you heard about Y generation? I suppose, right? It's the people that here in the Western society were born between 80s, 85, 90s. So my two children, 30 and 32, they are Y generation. But they also call it millennials. But other name that they receive is Mosaic generation. Mosaic exactly because they can do a collection of things according with their own choices. And because of this society, and because of all this offer, we just have now more and more people in the church, even youth people going to the church in Brazil and in America. But they go to the church and they live their religious experience in terms of what they think that is correct, not something that comes from a higher person, a higher leadership, or a higher system. They create their own system according with their will and their subjective experience. So, for example, now here in Brazil, we are facing a strong struggle with the sexuality, gender, and things like that. I don't know in India how you are facing this, or even if you face this, probably not like you are facing here now. But if you are, I know that you are using your computer probably. If you type Google, if you Google like gender questions, gender matters, or gender questioning in America, you're going to see that we have probably more than 30 sexual options to be someone that can be called. So you can be transgender, you can be male, you can be female, you can be homosexual, you can be gay, you can be. The last number that I saw was like 35, but someone told me that if you go deeper, you can go to more than 50 different possibilities to sexuality. Well, this just scares our older generation in Brazil. Even my case that I'm 55, what I knew for years was only male, female, and sometimes someone that could be homosexual. But now it's different. You have many options because every people or each people can make your own choices in all areas of its own life. I mean, I can choose my sexuality. I can choose my religion. I can choose and pick up elements that serves to myself and on the table of my life. I have my plate and I make my choices. And according to my choices, I'm going to say, this is going to be my religion. This is going to be my philosophy of life. This is going to be my standards in terms of family. There's going to be, for example, we have here what we call poly love or multiple love. That could be something like you can be marriage with several at the same time, and because this for the Western society is something very unusual. You can have several at the same time, even in countries like Brazil and the United States and Europe, is something totally different. That because of the Christian influence that we receive in the Western society, we always understood that a man is done only for a woman and a woman for only one man until the death. So, but these things are changing here according with your will. So there's no more limit for your choices. You know, the Western society means there's no more limit for my freedom, my liberty, for my choices, for myself. So my identity is a group of things that I put in my table, or in my on the plate in my table, at the plate on my table, at my table. So because I have total liberty and total freedom in the Western society, I can make my choice according to my will. So what matters is my experience. Okay, it's good for me, fine. So you as a father, you can say, no, this is not good for you. And the children can say, okay, but it's good for me. This is my choice. And this is our constitution. And this is our society. And now we've been receiving a lot of pressure, because of this, the secular media and the government and Supreme Court. So a lot of pressures in the evangelical church in Brazil today. For example, some churches have been persecuted by the government, or not the government, the court, the justice, because pastors are saying words against homosexual marriage. And this is something really strong in Brazil today, really strong. So this is the world that we live now. I mean, you don't have necessarily to accept this. And I hope this not goes to India. But this is the way that Western society is living today. It's a very open society. It's a society where you can experience your life according with your will. It's like a consumerism of living. You make your life your own standard. And this is tremendously dangerous for Christianity. So internet is a perfect environment for this. Why? Why also? Because children, for example, in the past, in Brazil, is normally you have your TV on your living room. I mean, Brazilians always love the TV, like the Western society always love the TV. And you normally have one TV in your living room because of the price and because of the priorities of the family. Children had to ask you to watch TV in many homes in Brazil. But 20 years ago, 10 years ago, most of the houses in Brazil, most of the family, just allow the children to have the TV in their own room, in their own bedroom. So, and lately, every children, depending the age, like 6, 7 years, they receive their first smartphone. And then they don't have to show you what they are watching. They just do by secret a lot of things and dangerous things. So, and this makes our children to build their own identity, just not according to the family traditions and the parents' knowledge and the parents' authorization. Because how can you control a children with an iPhone when a children goes to the restroom, for example? You know, how can you control your children when your children go to the school and go with a friend? You know, you think that he's reading or watching something reasonable, but you cannot control. I mean, so we lost the control of our children in Brazil as well in the Western society. So because of this, internet became an environment that opened the world. And, you know, remember when TV, probably in India, you have this. In Brazil, at least, and the United States, there is an obligation that the TV channel shows the age that is permitted for that program. Remember, you have this in India, I don't know, but in Brazil, they say no more than 12 years old, no more than 18 years old. So this is for adults, this is for children, you know. It's something that just appeared and disappeared, but it's like an alert, you know. And some parents keep controlling the children with this when, I mean, they used to do this in the past, but now with internet, it's very difficult to keep the control. And another thing that many fathers, many parents, they're working all the time. So they don't have time for children. So the children raise themselves, you know. The children just say, I like this, I don't like this. So this builds your identity, including your religiosity, including your sexuality, including your whole package of well-being. You know, you just say, okay, this is what fits to me. And when the children in the past in the Western society make their choices when they were like 13, 14 years old, they are doing choices now just after 6, 7, depending the time that they receive the machine or the device. So this is the perfect environment that we live. And there's one sociologist from Spain, his name is Manuel Castells, that create a couple of terms that I use in my thesis. One of them is that we live in a timeless time. It means that now, for example, our time is different, time zone is different. So we don't count more the importance of the timing, because this idea of timeless time also includes the whole package of the culture, you know. So that's why probably you're gonna see in the Western society, people that like to say that I like only vintage things or old things, because some people don't want to be part of this time, you know. They want to be part of other time, because internet allow you to do that, because internet is a holy word in your hands, in your pocket. So in a small device, you just can say, I'm visiting the world, I'm opening my knowledge, I'm deciding whatever I want. So this is a kind of society that lives in a digital way. I'm not saying digital in terms of technology. I'm saying digital in terms of thinking, because you are like something that receives and gives, and back and forth. This whole movement is like a movement of flows. And this is another expression that Manuel Castells, this Spanish sociologist, professor in the University of California, South California, and many others as visitor. And he said, we live in a society where the space that was part of our culture, the part of the thing that make us together, that made us for hundreds of years to be part of something. Now we don't need this. We don't need this anymore because of the internet. You have a society where things only pass in front of you. You are part of things that is passing in the life of others. For example, I'm in touch with Billy for the last 5 years, I think. Right, Billy? But with most of you, probably I'm not gonna have any other relationship or just a few. It means that this business of share content, share life, share lives, share experience, share behaviors, share faith, probably not be more possible for us. So I'm just flowing in front of you in this fluid society. Probably you heard about the Zygmunt Bauman, a philosopher and sociologist that created the expression liquid society. So we live in this liquid society also, which is a society where everything goes fast. Nothing is strong. Nothing is robust. Nothing is consolidated. Everything is fluid. Everything is possible to be demolished. Everything is possible to be weaker, or weakened. So why? Because we are in a moment that people are not more handling the things as used to be. And finally, Manuel Castells created one very important expression, which is real virtuality. That means that in the past, most of the things that we talk now, and I talk to you now, could be understood as virtual things. This was a virtual meeting. This was a virtual bank payment. This was a virtual relationship. This was a virtual experience of faith. But now what we see is that there's no more virtuality without reality. Because everything that was considered until a couple of years ago virtual is now more and more real. So we had a real experience here. We had a real opportunity to share content. And we're going to have much more now when you have quick Q&A. So this is opportunity that we have now because the virtual became real, which means that when you think about internet in your life, when you think about things that you type using your smartphone, when you think about the pictures that you share, the content that you share, the environment that you are using with internet devices, think about real life. Until a couple of years ago, we just said, oh, this is the virtual life of someone. But the real life is this, but not anymore. This bridge was just broken. And now you have the two lands together and just mix it. So there's no more virtual life because everything that you put in this supposedly virtual or digital life is real. If you hate someone using internet or according with internet standards, you hate someone for real. So you must think that internet means real things, not digital. I know that people in my age or older or some younger than me, like 40, it seems to be something weird, right? Okay, but our meeting today is a virtual, of course, it's virtual. In many senses, virtual. I'm in Brazil. You are in India. Okay, but in many other sense, this is real. This is real sharing of content, real sharing of thoughts, real sharing of life experience, real share of my 20,000 pages of readings. You don't have to read all the pages in the library that I did. But since we had time for sharing, you just received something that you can go deeper. But how different is this from a geographical local class? If I could be with you in person, in my physical life, I don't know how much different it could be, you know? Of course, there's something still different, but not very much. And every time that our mindset is becoming more and more digital, more and more online, more and more adapted to all this package, this whole package, we are just saying, okay, this is being and gonna be more and more the same thing, or almost the same thing. They are projecting artificial intelligence. You've been reading about this. They are projecting the other research to offer people more and more real experience through internet. And that's why they are creating the 5G internet, to provide more and more real experience through internet. So just finishing, what this has to be with our belonging, our way to see us, ourselves as part of the religion that we are part of, or the community that we are part of. How this can affect us. This can affect us because for many of us, to belong to a group means to be in personal touch, to be that face-to-face interaction, to be that smell that we see, we feel from other, you know, to be belonging. It's much more than be part of something. Is to make actions, to provide to your environment and group something that you change and the group change, the other change, because you're changing. So it's this kind of interaction is the interaction that always was provided by personal contact. You must remember the time when we used the phone and was very good. I remember my first trip to the United States, 1993, 28 years ago, when I was there for a week in Miami. And I made a call to talk with my wife and my two children at that time, 2 years and 5 years, 4 years old. Was like to be closer to them. Was amazing because I was missing them very much. But that time is just this compared with today. Because today I was in Mexico last week and with my wife, and we took picture, we posted videos, she posted video, I don't do this too much. And we just shared our experience with our friends and our children. I mean, that was cheaper, faster, higher quality, and believe in me, this is becoming more and more and more common all over the world. So about the belonging, we live today in a moment where many people still are facing trouble with their belonging. Even with internet, they feel themselves as solitary people, because internet cannot provide the sense of belonging that most of the people need. Because we do what we believe. That's why the word of God is always important. Because in the word of God, you have the provision for what you have to believe. And what you believe, you can act according to your beliefs and to the things that you believe. But the sense of belonging is something that must be also part of your experience, because you cannot be an isolated island. You cannot be someone alone. You must have someone. You must be part of a group. You must be part of a Christian community. You must be part of a church. You must be part of a family. You must be part of a group of friends that goes to play soccer, for example, or any other sports. So you must be part of something. And internet can provide you this in certain sense. But sometimes, in terms of religion, for many, this is what I call between belonging, or in between type of belonging. Because it's a time where if you are in opposition to the traditional system of the religion, at least in the Western society, you are what I identified studying cases in Brazil. And one of the cases was, the main case that I studied in my thesis was a website and a group called unbelievers.com.br or descrentes.com.br. But it was interesting to see that even being a group of rebels, or the ones that was disappointed with the church, the ones that were disappointed with leaders, the ones that were affected by the holy critics that goes saying bad words against the Brazilian church, evangelical church, Brazilian church leaders, all the time internet, with this bad interaction that creates not good things for the soul, for the faith. Many of them just say, okay, we're gonna be far from the church. They couldn't be too far from the church because they just moved from the environment, local, physical, to online or digital. And beside this, they must keep part of something. And they just didn't give up of the church. They give up of the traditional standard of church, but they still need Jesus, they still need friends, they still need faith to keep their own life. So my word for you, brothers that are in a geographical way too far from me, but in a more closer way or digital way, you are too close to me. You are in my living room, in my home, visit me. My advice is that take this opportunity of internet to make your work, your faith strong, or stronger than used to be. I'm preparing a speech to talk about the blind people in Brazil, about literature and blind people in Brazil. And you know that for years, blind people had not access to read books. And they use the Braille, you say Braille method, you say that Braille method for years. And that method was very expensive, is very expensive. Can you imagine that you carry one book of John? It's like 4 or 5 big books for someone to read, only in special places located, physical. But now, because of internet, you have access to audiobooks for free. I access one website, archive.org, that they have millions and thousands of audiobooks available for free. So this is something special. But something today, you can have all kinds of problems and difficulties using internet. So internet can be a very useful tool for your ministry, for your church, and for your life. But it also will depend on your choices, And use this opportunity of internet to improve your ministry, to improve your life. But be careful. Be careful, because it's also a trap for many people that don't know how to use and how to keep the limits of the things. So thanks again for this opportunity. I was planning to read, but I thought that something reading could be much more cold than one more personal conversation with you. So now I hope you have some questions that can give me the opportunity to go deeper with the things that we've talked about. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marcus Simas. Well, at this moment, it is an open-end question time. We have this chat facility open for you. So you can either unmute yourself and speak out, or you can also text, so that we can have some time in discussing on the topics which have been just shared.
Billy, I think that people can just type here using the chat. If you want, also, I can read here and answer, if it would be the case. Someone is raised.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord, sir. Good morning, sir. I am from
Morning.
Virginia. My name is Joshua. All this internet knowledge is given by God Himself to strengthen the ministry, originated by God.
It's your voice is failing a little bit, Billy. Maybe you could type here in the chat.
Billy, sir,
I just want to give the proper answer.
Billy, sir, can you help me, sir? I cannot type.
Yes, sir. Please tell me, sir. Yeah, I'm typing it for you.
Is this internet knowledge?
If you understood correctly, I'll be waiting the typing. But anyway, internet is provided by anyone. The content of internet is provided by anyone. I mean, people that serve God can provide it. People that serve the devil can provide content. I mean, internet is like a huge jungle that you have all kinds of fruits and poison. You can make your choice. Sometimes you don't know what to choose, you know. Sometimes you think that, at least here in Brazil, we have a lot of fruits. I mean, in my house, I have avocado, I have many fruits, and we love fruits, and guava, and papaya, and lemon, orange, all stuff here. But if I go to the jungle and I'm not familiar with the fruits, like my wife, she was raised in a farm, so she knows about fruit and leaves. You know, I'm from the sea. I was born in a city like Kochi, was an ocean city. So I like fish. I love fish and all stuff that comes from the ocean. And she came from the farm and from the jungle, from, you know, other area with trees and fruits. And if I go along to the Amazon, for example, and I make the wrong choice, I can die. But in Amazon, you have several good things. It depends whatever you make in terms of choice. I don't know if I answer your question. I'm sorry, brother, but you can.
Joshua garu, మీరు పెద్దగా మాట్లాడండి సార్ ఒకసారి. Yeah.
Billy sir. Hello, Billy sir, వినపడుతుందా సార్?
Yes sir, చెప్పండి సార్.
Yeah, I can see you.
దేవుడు ఏదేను తోటను అన్ని ఫల వృక్షాలు నాటినప్పుడు మంచి చెడ్డల తెలివినిచ్చే వృక్షం కూడా దేవుడే నాటాడు, ఉంచాడు అక్కడ. అది తిని ఆదాము అవ్వలు చెడిపోయారు. అయితే యేసు ప్రభువు మాట్లాడుతున్నప్పుడు పొలంలో మంచి విత్తనాలు గోధుమలు చల్లాడు యజమాని, అపవాది వచ్చి గురువులు చల్లాడు అని చెప్తాడు. సో ఈ ఇంటర్నెట్ నాలెడ్జ్ ఇది దేవుడే అనుగ్రహించాడా లేక సాతాను తెలుగుతో గురువులాగా విత్తాడా? అది నా పాయింట్, నా ప్రశ్న అది.
ఎస్ సార్. అయ్యారు మీరు ఇండైరెక్ట్ గా మీరు ఎఫిషియన్స్ చాప్టర్ 5:18 మాట్లాడుతున్నారు. అండ్ బీ నాట్ డ్రంక్ బై విత్ వైన్ wherein in exercise but be filled with the spirit. సో అదేంటి తప్పు ఒప్పులు ఎస్ అదేంటి సూర్యుడు అందరి మీద ఉదయిస్తాడు కాబట్టి ఇట్ ఈస్ అపాన్ ది ఎబిలిటీ ఆఫ్ ద బిలీవర్. ఇట్ ఈస్ ఎ స్పిరిచువల్ వార్ఫేర్. అదేంటి ఇంకొక రెఫరెన్స్ ఎవరైనా టైటస్ చాప్టర్ 3:4-7 తీసినట్లయితే తెలుగులో చదివినట్లయితే నేను ఇంగ్లీష్ లో చదువుతాను. That is what we can have more references to. జాషువా గారు మీ క్వశ్చన్ దాంట్లో ఆన్సర్ అవుతుంది. నేనేమో అదేంటి ఒక కొటేషన్ ఎఫిషియన్స్ చాప్టర్ 5:18 do not be drunk with wine but be filled with the Holy Spirit. తర్వాత ఇంకొకటి తెలుగులో చదవమంటున్నాను. టైటస్ చాప్టర్ 3:4-7 not by works of righteousness which we have done but according to his mercies he saved us by the washing of regeneration and renewing of the Holy Ghost. సో ఇక్కడ ఏమవుతుందంటే ఇంటర్నెట్ ఫ్రీ యాక్సెస్ ఉంది. ఇక్కడ ఐగారు he was particularly defining the term belongingness, between belonging అని మాట్లాడుతున్నారు. స్పేస్ బిట్వీన్ బిలాంగింగ్ లేకపోతే మల్టిపుల్ బిలాంగింగ్ అని చెప్తున్నారు. సో కల్చర్ నుంచి ఒక సైడ్ నుంచి ఫోర్స్ వస్తున్నప్పుడు మనం ఇండివిజువల్ గా మన సొసైటీ ఆ ఇండివిజువాలిటీని లూజ్ అవుతున్నప్పుడు వాట్ ఆర్ వి డూయింగ్ అనేది ఒకసారి తెలుగులో చదవండి సార్. టైటస్ చాప్టర్ 3:4-7.
చాప్టర్ 3 మన రక్షకుడైన దేవుని యొక్క దయయు మానవుల ఎడల ఆయనకున్న ప్రేమయు ప్రత్యక్షమైనప్పుడు మనము నీతిని అనుసరించి చేసిన క్రియల మూలముగా కాక దాని కనికరము చొప్పుననే పునర్జన్మ సంబంధమైన స్నానము ద్వారాను పరిశుద్ధాత్మ మనకు నూతన స్వభావము కలుగజేయట ద్వారాను మనలను రక్షించెను. మనం ఆయన కృప వలన నీతిమంతులమని తీర్చబడి నిత్య జీవమును గూర్చిన నిరీక్షణను బట్టి దానికి వారసులమగుటకై ఆ పరిశుద్ధాత్మను మన రక్షకుడైన యేసుక్రీస్తు ద్వారా ఆయన మన మీద సమృద్ధిగా కుమరించెను.
This is a trustworthy saying. Whatever is in the world is not for us. So as believers in Christ, we have to be regenerative. We have to renew day by day through the power of the Holy Spirit.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I mean, let me make a comment about this thing in internet. If you go to a library, you have all kinds of content, and you must make your choice. The Bible says that we must think about everything that's good for our vision. If my eyes are good, all my body will be good. All my life will be good. I mean, there are many people. I mean, I'm understood, dear brothers, that here my mainly knowledge comes from the Western society. What I'm trying to share it to you is that be careful how this gonna go to your society one day. I don't know when it's gonna be, or even if it's already happening in some areas or some groups. This normally starts for the higher level of economic societies, and depending the country, it goes first to the wealthy people, but in many cases we see that this happened here in Brazil, and this is probably going to happen all over the world. I mean, they are trying to unify the world, the globalization. It's not only I use something made in India, or you drink the Brazilian coffee as I'm drinking. By the way, yesterday I drank a coffee from India. So it's how could you imagine this? Even Marco Polo and many other, explorers in this 14th and 15th centuries, they could not imagine something so quicker, faster. We are now facing a problem with the shipments coming from Asia to Americas. our inflation just went up because we are sharing the world. I mean, we are sharing food. They say that 20% of the foods all over the world, the commercial food, comes from Brazil. We have a lot of food here. Meat is cheap here. I mean, chicken or any other kind of meat is cheaper here than other place. Food, fruits is cheaper here than many of, if compared with the United States, for example. We have like 10 different kinds of banana. The United States, you have only one. Europe, you have only one or two. So, but this is the globalized world. The world is something that you can go and make your choice every time more and more. And internet can be very useful. For example, I was hearing yesterday morning a pastor that was my pastor 27 years ago when I was living in São Paulo, other city, not a state in Brazil, 500 kilometers from here. I didn't hear his preaching for 20 few years, and was very emotional to hear his voice, his preaching. You know, this was because of internet. Because I never go to São Paulo in the weekends. It's to stay in Sunday, to be there and participate of my old church. So I moved to Rio, busy all the time, traveling many places, many states, many cities. But it was amazing to see, you know. My mother passed away 4 months ago. My mother-in-law passed away a month ago. We have videos, photos that we share, so we can keep something that is good from those loved people. But also this same environment can bring to your home, to your house, to your family, to your church, something very dangerous. So you must keep remembering, as I told you, this is the real life. This is the real virtuality, not virtuality, but real virtuality. Because everything that you watch, you see, you speak, you experience, and internet, it's real for your soul, for your mind, for your life, you know? So you must keep in your mind the biblical principles for living. It just changed the environment, but you still must keep your eyes in the good places. Because if your eyes are in the good place, in the good pages, in the good websites, and in the good group of friends in Facebook, in the good group of friends in Twitter or whatever, this will be good for you and for your life. You know, this is the other environment that is bringing in an easier way the word in the good and the bad sense to your place, to your home, to your heart. So think about this. In the past, you had to move from your house to somewhere to find wrong things. Now you bring to yourself. You make the choices. In the past, you had on TV, one TV, only one, maybe two, maybe five. Now, every person in one house here in the Western society, at least here, has one on smartphone. So why Samsung and Apple are selling so much? Because people want it. People want to be part of something. When the people go to Facebook, they want to be part of something. When the people go to the Twitter, they want to be part of something. When they go to Instagram, TikTok, and many others, they want to be part of something. But the only answer, real answer, for them to be part of something deeper, changing life, is to be part of a Christian community, to be part of the Church of God. Because this is something deeper that is not only visual, not only experience, but it's the real life that change people for good, not for bad.
Thank you.
Then we have another question from Ruth Prashanti. She texted you on the chat box.
So while you are thinking about it, let me tell you more, a couple of things. Here in Brazil, we're gonna have next year the major elections. That is the election for the president. We are here in that time where we have the left and the right. I don't know how this is working in India, I'm sorry. But in Brazil and Europe and Americas, you have the ones that still believe in communism, believe in socialism, believe in doctrines of Karl Marx and many others. And the other one that believe that the markets, the freedom is enough to make the life better. So this is a strong competition. And the government, this government that's now is a right government, I'd say, much more open to commercial perspective, and more liberal in many commercial, in many economical perspective. So people here are in a time, believe in me, even in many church members, you know what are they doing? They're just destroying friendship because of the political polarization. So I wrote an article for one of the main Christian magazine and internet website in Brazil that I said, peace be in this web. Instead to say what Jesus said, peace be in this house when you go visit a house. He said this to the disciples. I said to the people, the readers, please, let's keep peace in the web. Because people are struggling and fighting all the time. You have no idea about how the division is here. You know why? One of the reasons is because many people, they think that they live two lives. One is the personal. And you meet this person face to face, hugs, kisses, shaking hands, warm, okay. But the same one, when he goes to internet environment, he becomes aggressive, offensive. He thinks that he can say anything against everyone that he wants. So it was to give a voice to people that never had voice in the past, you know, because internet has this power. You can just have your voice now and create your own YouTube channel. Let me tell you another thing. Billy, when you say that it's time to be in silence, just let me know, okay? One of my experience in the Christian evangelical system in Brazil was, I was executive director of one Christian channel in Brazil, TV channel in Brazil. It was 20 few years ago. In that time, one American group offered to our Christian channel $30 million for the Christian channel. I'm saying $30 million. Okay, it was a lot of money. I'm saying 25 years ago was much more than it is today. Think about 40 or $50 million. Is a lot of money, right? And the owner of the channel was a Christian organization, said, no thanks, we want to keep preaching the gospel. Do you know how much is the value of this channel today? Nothing. Why? Because our audience in terms of quantity in that time was like 100,000 people. Oh, I have authors that I work with that have 2 million people in their YouTube channel. It means that internet is opening the knowledge for good, for bad. Internet is not a narrow road, it's a wide road. And Jesus said that the road to the heaven is narrow, right? Is this expression in English? Is narrow? To go to the heaven, to be following Jesus, what do you have to do? Goes to the narrow road. What it means? It means that if you put this word with the word that says, be careful with your eyes, and the word that says, don't think like other think, the word that says, if you want to follow me, you must say no to a lot of things. You're going to see that internet is the same environment. I mean, is something new for Jesus, internet? No. Okay, let's think deeper. Internet started something like virtual, right? Okay. What is the faith in the beginning? It's virtual. When you pray just by side of Jesus and the Lord and the Trinity. How do you pray? You pray in a certain sense, virtual way. But this is a real experience for you, right? Very real. You don't have to see and touch Jesus, because he said that happy would be those that believed him even without touching him when he went close to the Thomas, right? So if you see today, nothing is new. If you read the Bible, everything was there, still is there. Nothing is new in terms of human behavior. Go.
Sir, we have a question by Ruth Prashanti. She sent it to me, but I cannot send it to you. I cannot copy it, but I'll read it out loudly. I wanted to ask if the internet knowledge effects on Protestant believers will take him far from God, and as evening online Bible is available, is reading physical Bible and online Bible through phone the same? There are two questions here.
Yeah, let me see if you understood correctly. Well, you have all kind of knowledge in the internet. You have Christian conservative content, and you have Christian liberal content. I would say that you have today a very good quantity of conservative theology in internet. Again, it's like to go to a library and make your choice. Instead, you read a bad book, make a choice for a good book. So in internet, you have everything available. The main question is your choice. Like you have the choice when you go to a market, for example. Street market, you make your choice. When I start, I have the iPad that American company that I work gave to me. As well, the company gave the laptop. So I remember like 12, 13 years ago, when I started to read my Bible using iPad or iPhone or a digital or a digital device. That time was, what was the name? My goodness. It was another name, another brand. It was like BlackBerry or any other that I could read the Bible that time. It was BlackBerry. There was another name. Oh, I remember the device was like a silver device with something, but was not an iPhone that time, 14, 15 years ago. I remember that I felt a lot of difficult because it was not sacred for me. The sacred was my printed Bible. I had my printed Bible. That Bible, I had so many good experience with that reading, you know, in the mornings, 5:30 in the morning, I like to wake up and praise God and sing hymns, and I like to read the Bible, and I like to meditate. I like to think about the life. I like to say, thanks, Lord, for the life. Bless my family, bless my friends, bless my country. And I remember that time was difficult. I said, wow, this is something that was not spiritual. You know, I was something new. But when I moved to the United States to be in a training program at Christianity Today in Chicago area, I remember that was difficult to have one Bible in Portuguese and one Bible in English at the same time, because I had to make comparison. So I found an iPad or iPhone that time that was better and easier to read both at the same time, you know, and carrying something lighter. So along the years, my mind was just saying, okay, you know, the spiritual thing is in your heart. The miracle is first in your mind, in your heart. The voice of God doesn't mean to be printed, because to be printed is something really, really new. It's just only 500 years for the Western, at least. I mean, the printing quantity of the Bible. In the past was just that, you know, high handwriting thing. And but now you have much more technology. And let me tell you one thing, brothers, that probably in the future, not too far, you need to carry this, because this we're gonna be your phone, your Bible, your documents, and many other things. So you must prepare yourself for this. But the life of holiness, the life that rests in Jesus, the soul that searches for God, still will be maintained. It will not change. What they're going to change is the devices. Instead to be a book, it is this now. Okay, I have 6,000 books at home, but I have now 500 books here because I don't have more space for books. And my wife said, please don't buy more books. No more space. A lot of them in boxes. So I'm not a millionaire. I cannot buy a bigger house. What I have to do is put all them here. So what it means that I'm trying to take the opportunity about what is good for me and for my spiritual life. Because the spiritual life is that what means, what really matters. You know, technology, it can change. It's just a language that can change. You know, it's environment and language that are changing. But I'll tell you, be prepared for artificial intelligence. You know what they're doing now? They saw that I went to the Good News. I subscribed the Good News YouTube channel, right? Everything that you put something and all your group appears to me here in Brazil. I'm following you. It's like the big brother, like said the writer, the big brother. Be prepared. Every time that you go to iPhone, to iPad, to electronic, even your computer, you are being followed. They kept you. Is this good or bad? Depends. 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 That's depends if you prepare your soul for face this. Because in the past, in the Western society, in 1500s, in the 15th century, when someone had access to the books, was just for a few wealthy people. And those that were wealthy people, they read that time wrong books and did wrong choice. And the poor people had access to the Bible for the first time. And that was the hugest technology of that time. And that huge technology gave the people the freedom to read the Bible and to be direct to God, for praying, for reading, for being blessed. You did not have to expect anymore to go to the church. That was the supreme, until that time, was the supreme and only way to go to the God, to the symbols of God, and to the sacred, and to the holy Lord. So now you can do it by yourself from your house, from your table, from your bed. I mean, it's just a matter of make the right choices, But be prepared. In terms of technology, we go much further. We will go much further. Be prepared. Probably in 5 years, this will gonna be your wallet, your library, your documents, the sacred place of your service, because you say, okay, you wake up, you wash your eyes, brush your teeth, and you say, let me go to the service. And you're gonna have something here, and you're gonna watch the preacher and the teaching and the sermon and everything. I mean, it's just starting, dear brothers, just starting. We go much more further. But if you read something that I sent to you, some materials that I sent, I saw that you see people becoming sick because of internet. Too much information. I'm gonna have a live in the South American Theological College, and it's gonna be about the people that are exhausted in this internet environment in Brazil. Parents that just lost the control over your children. Parents that just lost the control in your marriage, in their marriage. People that just lost the control. You don't have more your wife and your husband because one of them is all the time using internet. You don't know what, because when you arrive closer, things are changing. You have a resource using the iPad, iPhone, or many other devices that you just can say hiding content, not public content, hiding content. I mean, it's your choice, brother. You have to make your choices, because this environment, it's becoming more and more real, more and more real, more and more part of your life, part of our lives. And with 5G arriving in Brazil next year, I don't know, in India, when they are planning, everything goes, I think that's like 10 times faster than it is today, So be prepared. Prepare your soul. Prepare your eyes. Prepare your mind. Because you must face this someday. If you're not facing already now, of course. Did I answer the question somehow? I mean, Billy?
Yes, sir.
How
Yeah.
am I going? I'm going okay. My speech is clear.
Sir, I should appreciate you because of your English words in a slow tone. We are able to understand it rather than from an American accent. We are grateful to you for bringing the liquid society and the real virtuality, the digital religion. Like you have brought us more further than where we stand, where we are just concerned of what we are doing for the day and for our children, but unknowingly we are being driven out from our individualism and from ourselves and from being unchurched, rather to say, in this.
What's the name of the main device in Western society? iPhone. Why do you think that the name is iPhone? iPhone, iPad, iMac. It's not without a reason. I mean, there's a purpose in this, you know, because the main thing is not more the group, the society. It's not more the church, more the family. It's your own personal experience. This is terrible. This is good in a certain sense, but it's terrible if you go and make the wrong choices. It can be very dangerous, very dangerous.
You have brought in the eschatological, ecclesiological, and spiritual warfare dimension in your study. We are grateful to you, sir, for this time, what you have given to us in sharing the between belonging, or what you mentioned, the space in between, or double or multiple belonging is what you mentioned in your words. Yeah.
Any other question? You may go ahead. I see younger people watching. I can't see all at the same time, but I see younger people. Let me see the gallery here. Yeah. Not all of you are with the cameras open, and it's not always possible, you know. But it's been a pleasure to be with you, brothers. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm sorry for my Brazilian English. I know that's sometimes is not the best way to understand the accent, you know. We were in Mexico last week. I was in Mexico with my wife last week for a Christian publishing event. And we met a woman from the Asia, from the former Union Soviet Republic. When she started to talk, I said, I know from where she comes. I mean, she didn't need to say where I am, where I come from, because, you know, we have our accents. So I'm sorry if for some reason my English was not enough for you understand.
Thank you so much for the words of strength and the importance of our traditions and the organizational structure, which has been removed, which removes our individualism from the internet. And thank you so much for allowing us to be back again on the scripture, to have our eyes and on the scripture. Thank you.
Will you ask him to close with prayer? You want to close with prayer?
If nobody has any more questions, I would request Dr. Simas, Marcus Simas, to pray and close this session.
Okay. Well, dear Lord, thanks for the friendship that we had in this different environment. Thanks for the work that my dear brothers are doing in their country. And thanks for the opportunity to be with them. even knowing only a few about them and sharing only a few, we know that you are the common part of all of us, and to live the gospel that you gave to us is what unites us. So I thank you, Lord, for this opportunity. I thank you for every brother and sister that has their own ministry in their country. I pray for you to bless them. I know that they face a lot of struggle and difficulties, and I hope you for the protection of them, the protection for their families, their ministries, their marriage, their work, and their country. So, oh Lord, that I ask you to bless India and these blessed people that blessed the holy world for many years and still are blessing with many things that they do, they produce. And thanks for learning from them. Thanks for learning from Billy Judson with our